Welcome to the Speak Her podcast with your host, Camille Essick, the podcast where creators and innovators connect. Let's get started.
Hey everybody, what's going on? This is Camille Essick. I'm host of the Speaker Podcast. This is the podcast where innovators and creators connect. What I need you to do right now is hit that notification bell and subscribe. Follow me. I am on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and I would love to hear from you. Send me an email at thespeakerpodcast@gmail.com. If you haven't heard, I've launched my e-course. The master plan is out right now. It's available on my website. So if you're a podcaster, one of your podcaster and or a digital creative, you can go right now and pick up. It is a comprehensive master program e-course that has all the things to get you started. In addition, about 3 weeks ago, y'all, I've released my newest ebook. It is called Women Empowered Unleashed. This is my first ebook specifically for women looking to boost your self-esteem, know your self-worth, and get the confidence and be the woman of God that you are. That's available right now on my website. And of course, you all know Heart and Soul 2024 is coming back. We had a little hiatus last year, but I'm bringing it back. Part 1 is Ladies Night. That will be October 31st, Eastern Standard Time. It will be exclusively on YouTube. So I need you to hit that notification bell and subscribe. That way you can be in the loop, y'all. Of course, we're going to do a part 2 to that. We'll get into that a little bit later. But just know part 1 is Ladies Night, October 31st, Eastern Standard Time. So enough of the plugging. We're going to get right into everything. My brother and friend, he's such a dope guy, y'all. Sealz The Man is back. We're here to have a great conversation. What's up, Sealz? What's going on?
What's going on, man? You always make me feel good with the intros.
I try to make all my guests feel special and welcome, you know what I'm saying? So
appreciate you.
Yes. For those, well, first of all, if you've been following me, you should know who Sealz is. If you haven't and you don't know by now, I don't know what to tell you. But for those that may be new, because we are growing in our subscriptions, let the people know a little bit about who you are and what you do.
All right. Well, first of all, I'm a humble man, so I gotta try to consolidate everything you just said about me. That's amazing. Thank you for saying that. So I have a YouTube channel. It's called Sealz The Man, where I talk about understanding the mind of decent men, good men who stand for things, because there's enough negativity in the world to be entertained by, but that's not what I'm about. I'm all about talking about the positivity in men. And I started this channel in order to put my 2 younger nieces on game so that when they grow up, they would, hopefully be attracted to more decent men. You know what I'm saying? And I would want that for all of our daughters out here. So that's what I started, and it kind of just created a brand of its own. And there's a new venture that I'm gonna tell you about a little later.
Okay.
See that I'm going to start, and I'm looking forward to that too. But yeah.
So we get the exclusive here.
yeah. So I'm all about spreading the positivity and the gospel. So that's it.
I love it. So what I want to get into right now, I'm just telling some people to come in and like, comment, and share, because this conversation is about to get really, really good. One of the things I do want to tap into is just processing life's pressure. When life is lifing, and just as a man, because this episode, of course, is a continuation on our conversation as far as Black men and mental health from the man's perspective. Just being okay and saying you're not okay today. Like, what does that look like for you?
It's just honestly being honest. Just being honest. Like, I haven't been okay for a lot of days of these past weeks. Like, it's been a rough quarter of the year, but God is good. I know I'm gonna make it through. There's going to be hiccups in the road. There's going to be turbulence. As that gospel song say, they never said the road would be easy, right?
Come on.
And this quarter has not been easy, and as a man, you just have certain standards, right?
Right.
You're able to meet those standards, and I just know I can't do everything, right? There's certain things I can't control, and that's one thing that I've learned in my growth this year is that I should only control what I can control. Everything else I'll leave up to God. And that's just that's literally been my motto for the whole year. If I cannot have any influence by my own power and my own ability, I leave it up to someone who can, right? So So yes, things have been iffy, random, but
Yeah.
I cannot control.
Yeah. But we talked about this before as far as with the previous conversation, and to kind of loop this back around as far as performance exhaustion, because for men, there is a pressure from society to perform, to show up, to hit the number, to get these goals.
Right.
But outside of that, you feel deflated, you feel discouraged, you get frustrated, you get tired, you want to cry, but then society has this narrative like, toughen up, boys don't cry, men don't cry. And yes, in gender, yes, you're a man, but you're a human you're a human being having experience, you having emotions. So processing those feelings and stepping outside of, Q4, Q3 was bad. We had a bad quarter, and getting to the root and the core of today to date.
Yeah. Right.
So what is that looking like for you in that aspect?
I think it's all part of like the human experience, right? Just understanding that everything's not going to go your way, everything's not going to go your way. And sometimes things are going to give you a challenge.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one thing about being in my faith, that I realized that God will throw you things to make you grow. Sometimes we get too comfortable with life, and you realize like, okay, things are feeling great, and they start to feel great for a long period of time. But after a while, you're like, all right, I'm still in the same place that I was last year, say for instance, right? I'm still in the same place that I was 5 years ago, because there is no growth. You haven't met no challenges to force you to increase in self, right? And even as a man, as you spoke about it, like the thing that helps me the most is being surrounded by men who are doing that, right? Who are
accountability,
who are meeting their challenges and who are beating it, or who are being strong in their faith and taking those challenges personally, and but knowing that there's a greater thing, right? There's greater than me, right? So that's my strength, right? So that's the thing that I face with every time period is when the challenges come, knowing how to handle them, but become better, right? And also understanding about perspective.
Okay.
Right? The glass half full, half empty. Some people are going to look at the glass and say, "Oh, complain," and be like, "Oh God, why me?" Like, or exactly. Why I got to go through all those things?
Right.
What I'm transforming and growing into is wondering, like, what's the lesson that this is teaching me? Right? How am I going to become better from this? I'm not worrying about the downs no more. And I used to do that all the time, right? I'm not worrying about the downs more. How can I make a come up from this? Whatever challenge, it could be small, big, medium, whatever. There is a reason for everything. And that's what I believe in.
That's good. That's good. Like the L's are not losses. They're just lessons.
Lessons. That's it.
And growing together. And we also always talk about, relationships and connectivity. So in these spaces, when you're having, these moments where they're called the mountain high and the valley lows, the importance of growing together, because, both you and I are in the social media space, and you hear a lot of what we call the red pill, blue pill culture, and this mantra or narrative that the person you meet, they start out, have to be at this level, have these things, have certain amount of dollars, whatever, but not leaving room to grow together as people. And I heard someone say before, I think it may have been Tyler Perry, and he was talking about life is cyclical in a relationship. Like the person you met at 25 or 30, they're not going to be the same person at 40, because life happens. And every time you have a life event, you evolve. So you're not the same person after a parent passes away, or after a job loss, or after someone you love, like your child, someone dies, or you graduate from school. And so I think he said every 5 to 7 years, it may have been shorter than that, you're meeting a new version of that person. And so that's why sometimes you see these divorce rates after they've been married 20 years and divorce. And it's like, why? And they're like, oh, well, they change. Well, people are going to change and evolve. And if you're just constantly stuck on the narrative or the person you met at 25 or 30, and then have this expectation that's the same person they're going to be at 40 or 45 or 50, you're going to be disappointed. Yep. So for you as a man, what do you say to having your person and leaving room for growth, leaving room for, because people will make mistakes. Life is going to life, things are going to happen, but leaving that space to grow together.
And that's some good points you made. What I will say is that you have to be open for change, right? You gotta realize that life is not going to stay the same.
Right.
And once you realize that life is not going to stay the same, then you're able to have that ability to change your perspective accordingly.
Mm-hmm.
You have that ability to change your perspective and realize that, it's not all about you.
Right.
It's not all about what you think. Right. So, in order to grow with someone, you got to leave room for growth.
That's good.
It's simple as that. You got to leave room for growth. If you're at the ceiling of your thinking, then it is what it is. you ain't going no higher, right?
Yeah.
So if you don't increase in yourself, and that's what my motto has been all year, increasing myself, that my ceiling goes even higher. If you don't create space for yourself to accept someone and accept their growth along with your growth, you're going to be stunned.
That too. And I think also that comes with having the sensitivity. Even if they say, oh, I'm good, I'm fine, and you can go, no, what's wrong for real? And having that discernment to pick that person up and saying, hey, no, let's sit down, let's talk, let's check in for real. What's really going on with you today? I know we've discussed this before, being the vault for that person, being the safe space for that person where they even feel comfortable enough to talk to you.
Right.
Because we see a lot of things times again, because we're in a digital media culture where there's a fear of things being weaponized down the road. And so for you, what has that looked like for you? And what does that look like for you as far as that vaulted space?
So the thing with the vault thing is, so we did talk about this, right? You got to have someone you can share your vulnerabilities with. Since our last talk, I realized like you got to be really watchful with who you make that vault for.
That's good.
Yeah, you got to be
watchful.
watchful.
Unpack that. I like that.
Oh, you really got to be watchful for who you give that passcode to, that password to, right? Because not everyone has access to your vault. But the ones you give that password to, you got to be careful, because I've been disappointed by some people this year that I was totally surprised by, like blindsided by. But it also goes back to your point about people growing, right? People going in different directions in life. Mm-hmm. Certain tragedies changing people, or certain life events changing people, right? Mm-hmm. Just because someone is your best friend today does not mean they're going to be your best friend next year. And I learned that the hard way.
Do you have to pace yourself? Like you have to vet this person and watch them through different. I'm just trying to figure out like where's this going, because it sounds like a vetting process.
Right. So I won't say it's a vetting process, but what I will say is that everyone has to have an understanding that everyone is human.
Okay.
And that everyone sins, and that everyone has vulnerabilities or some kind of weakness that we don't know about. Even your best friend don't know about, right? So that if they succumb to that weakness, they will become a totally different person. The best friend you thought you had today, if they succumb to their weakness, tomorrow they'll be totally different.
I'm not putting words in your mouth. So I'm just trying to understand what you're saying. Are you saying don't put anything past anybody, or?
I mean, if you want to simply say that, yeah. But if we being real,
I'm just trying to figure out your line of psychology here. I'm like, okay, what is he really saying here?
What I'm truly saying is that you have
don't let anything catch you off guard or by surprise, because at the day, people are still people.
You have to put your all in your faith.
Okay.
And even though you want to put your all in man, you shouldn't do that, because
the word says that you put no confidence.
There you go. There you go. But sometimes, you get an infatuation, right? You get in love, or, you get to a point where you're at a point in your friendship where you feel like, I can tell my friend anything. She would he or she would never betray me, right? Like,
not so-and-so.
We've been through the works. What?
Yeah. I see what you're saying.
You dealt with so-and-so? Nah, never that. That's not the case, yo.
But isn't that where the discernment kicks in, when you're taking that time, even if you're in this friendship or whatever, that you're praying and watching. And sometimes God will drop those gems and those nuggets, and we're so in love or infatuated. We're like, no, that's just. And I will say I've been guilty of that before, where flag on the play, like football, just like, well, but it's like, no, they're a habitual line stepper. And at some point, you got called technical and eject or get them out. So it's just like, I watch a little bit of football, but I think what you're saying is very important as far as pacing how much you divulge, because we just really want this person to be our person.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like, whoa, let's slow down.
And also understanding, right? So that was the thing too with me. Like, if things didn't go as planned for me, I would get upset.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? I would get like, why didn't this happen?
Mm-hmm.
Like, common sense would tell you that this thing should have went this way, right? But it's not about what we think, because, like I said, everyone has their faults, everyone has their sins, right? So, going back to what you originally stated about the vault, right?
Mm-hmm.
That was my lesson this year. Be careful who you lend your vault to.
Ooh.
Because, and another thing with being a vault, like being a vault to a partner, is that you might take in something from someone, right? You might take a secret or whatever, and they can abuse you for that. They can say, like, you know what? Since I told you this before, I'm going to keep piling on to you. I don't care how you feel. I don't care the emotional drain that you're taking this information from me. I don't care. I just need to I need to vent. I need to let this go. I need to tell somebody. The thing with the helper and the helped is that there's a difference, right? There's a line in the sand between the person understanding and feeling for the other person too.
So we're talking about sharing the passcode? Is that what we're doing?
No, just with one person.
Okay.
So now that person has the passcode, right? That person has to have concern for you too. Like that, the helper needs to be helped too sometimes, right? Because being a helper sometimes is draining, right? So you're taking in all. So
you're speaking because there's a lot of code, and I'm trying to break it down. So for the listeners, so they're like, "What is he saying?" So you're talking about reciprocity,
and understanding.
Okay,
right? Because like the thing with a lot of people who like want to vent to other people is that they just want to let things off their chest, right? They want to unload, and they feel comfortable with this person, their partner, to unload. But you also gotta. I would suggest that you also take concern for the person you're unloading too, because
now it's clicking. Okay,
because you never know the effect.
Gotcha. Because they have their things too, and you're just dumping, and
you're not asking about them. Are you okay? Because they might have triggers too.
Reciprocity. Got you. Okay. Right. Now we're tracking. I was like, I know I'm not slow. Let me listen.
I can't. I'm coming deep. I'm coming deep today. Come on.
Yes, you are. Okay. It's been a day because when you take a week off, that podcaster had. I'm like, what?
Oh, you took a week off?
Well, I had a show last week, and
you a hard worker. I'm surprised.
But I mean. Well, October is full. So, because I had a guest last week, I have a guest next week.
Okay.
A week after that, Heart and Soul, which there's going to be a panel of 9 women.
Got you. Ooh.
So I've been, he said, ooh. So and have you been on Heart and Soul before?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Yes, you have. So, and you'll be on the next one.
Yep.
So.
I'm not a woman, so I understand.
Yeah, the women, so the ladies, and it's an amazing conversation. But I said all that to say is, as far as I think it is important that when we are sharing, that we take in mind that the person that you are opening up to, they have things as well, and to kind of have some discernment or just sensitivity or intuition, and know that you could be putting too much on their plate, because everyone has a capacity. And if it's like Thanksgiving, right? Let's use this analogy. There's Thanksgiving, and we know all paper plates are not made equal. You got the Dollar Tree plates, and then you have Chinettes, right? And so you need to know if the person you're talking to was a Dollar Tree plate, Or are they from
Whole
your
Foods plate.
or are they from your grandmother's cabinet?
Yeah,
Like,
that red Dixie plate.
no, from your grandmother's cabinet, the good china.
Oh, the good china. Oh,
Yeah.
don't play
So
with that.
because the good china can hold,
Oh,
it's sturdy. But if you have one of these little plates where if you put some macaroni and dressing is leaking on the bottom, you got to put 3 or 4 of them together. So it's like kind of know the capacity of the person that you're dealing with, and realizing that sometimes even if you feel comfortable to want to share and open up and say, maybe right now it's not a good time for me to add this on to them, and kind of let them kind of get some things off their plate, and then we can come back to it. Or I will say this too, and maybe you can help me unpack this. It's not fair to expect your person to be your everything.
Yep.
That's just not possible.
I don't think it's possible at all.
Right. And that's why it's important to have outlets, to have friend groups, circles, other communities outside of your person. Yep. Because in actuality, you should already have a community in a life before you meet this person, and they're just adding to. But when this person comes, you don't alienate all your resources and then dump everything onto this. That's unfair.
Right. I totally agree. And the verse says it so too. God is everything, but he also supplies you with a partner to help you on this earthly journey, right? So
right.
I don't expect my partner to help me with every void that I'm dealing with, or every difficulty that I'm assessing. Or
absolutely not. I think so let me ask you this from the male perspective.
Yeah.
Do you feel that sometimes men have this unspoken expectation that they're supposed to be everything, or they're supposed to be Superman?
Yep. That's our daily grind, our daily life, right? And that is why it's so important for me as a man in my growth to understand that I can't do everything. Like literally my motto this year has been control what I can control and leave everything else up to God, because there was a point in my life where I feel like I needed to do everything. I got to take care of my loved ones. I got to take care of my family. And I also got to take care of me. But then I put that on the backside. I got to make sure they're good. I got to make sure that I don't disappoint them. I got to get a good enough job where I'm getting paid enough to be able to support my family and my loved ones. I got to make sure that I'm on point. These are the things that I was going on in my head as a man, because that's what I feel like is my responsibility. Right.
Yeah.
And it's not something that, that is forced upon me. Right. It's something that I want to do. Like I'm not complaining. Like, don't get me wrong. I'm not complaining, but this is something that I want to do as a man. Mm-hmm. But also as a man, I got to understand that I can't do everything I want to do. I can only do what I can do. You feel me?
So at that point, where do you say I've reached my limit? I don't have the capacity for that right now? Because women, we vocalize that all the time. So for you as man, like, how do you vocalize that and not have who you are be attacked or diminished? Like, how does that happen? Like, what does that look like?
So I'm gonna speak on the broader
spectrum, yes,
spectrum of things when it comes to this visually.
Okay.
That a lot of men get criticized for not being able to do more than what they can handle, right?
Right.
And I talk about that in some of my videos too.
Mm-hmm.
The thing that a lot of men do is they shut down.
Okay.
You'll realize like a man just gets quiet. A man that's usually not quiet, all of a sudden he's quiet now.
Going inward, yes.
Yeah, all of a sudden he's acting different. Like the thing I noticed with a lot of women is that, like you said, y'all talk about it, y'all express it verbally, right? Y'all let it be known, like, yo, I'm not comfortable, right? That's not the majority case for a lot of men.
Okay.
The thing with a lot of men is that they shut down because they feel like they're, worthless or they're useless or they don't have that ability. So, and that's the thing that I speak on, but also for me too. Like that used to be my thing. If I reached my limit, right, and I wasn't able to do something that was expected, I was shut down in order to figure out how to, not knowing if I'm going to find a solution on how to, but I know I needed that time alone and to figure it out. So that's that's a common struggle amongst a lot of men who want to do the most for their loved ones. And in that aspect, I feel like we need to be more like most women. We need to express, like we need to talk to other men. We need to be in these community groups and these outreach groups where we speak on the things that we're struggling with. Because what I realize is that there's a lot of men who's going through the same things I'm going through.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like who have, bigger families than me. You know what I'm saying? More children. And I don't have any children, but having big families and children and trying to figure things out, and they feel like they're alone. If you realize, if you go in these other groups of other men, you realize like there's other men going through the same thing or similar things. And now y'all could come together and help each other, right? You cannot do this thing called life alone. You cannot. Mm-hmm. And I express that strongly in every message that I can. You can't do this alone. It's not meant to be alone.
So what about, you've said so much, and one of the things, because I can literally hear your heart as you're talking, and just so many men that battle feeling like, am I good enough? Mm-hmm. Or having to show up, saving face, dealing with fear of rejection. What if I fail? What if I embarrass myself? What if, whatever the fear, what if I don't make my number for the quarter, or I don't get so many people for my event? Whatever your goal is, the mental health of it, because that has to show up for a lot of men as far as, quietly dealing with depression, even though they're very present behind closed doors, depressed because losing loved ones, still having to show up, still having to create, losing another loved one. And loved one is not always death. It can be physical death, but the breaking of friendship or relationship, and still having to show up every day, still having to perform every day. But then behind closed doors, dealing with depression, now you're having high blood pressure, and then you're dealing with heart disease. And then the extreme end, some people taking matters into their own hands because they can't deal with the pressure. And people are like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that, when they were so successful and so happy, because they equate his success as a man to the numbers, to the cars, to the relationship, to the people, the connections, but not looking at the person.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That's a lot.
And like you said, you have to be the right partner who can support you in those times too.
Yeah. So what about men creating the environment to where you can have these honest conversations, and, as I say, removing the mask and creating a safe landing pad for each other where you're not being scrutinized, your orientation's not being questioned, but can have these spaces? Like, what does that look like, particularly for Black men, and creating these environments for each other?
I feel like we're in a blessed environment right now. I feel like we're in a blessed era where, free information is just roaming on the net. It's called the internet, right? Now we have platforms where other Black men can listen to other Black men or join these events with other Black men who are going through similar things, right?
Yeah.
And it's kind of a segue to what I'm going to be doing for my next channel, which is I'm going to be talking more about personal development and self-improvement, and just the improving your mental capacity. Just trying to understand this life thing from my perspective, because my perspective is kind of wild. It's kind of wacky. I don't talk like how these doctors and therapists talk.
That's why you're here. And as far as with the Speaker podcast, and I've said this before, initially, this started out a space for Black women, but then it just really dropped into my heart. I was like, no, our brothers need a place too. Yeah. And so I've worked really hard to try to carve out a safe space for our brothers to talk and share, where there's no judgment. There's no, girl, there's none of that, but just a space where we can have these open conversations. Yeah. And I feel that it's important that we as Black men and women in this world, that we have a space where we can safely have open and honest conversation where it's not toxic, it's not harmful, but kind of go down these paths as far as these conversations and really try to dissect this and really get to the heart of some things. So,
and you're doing amazing because I'm here. I mean, you started off for women, and somehow a brother is here. So, and other brothers that you've had on here, like that I've spoken to you with, like, and that's the beauty of this era that we're in, right? We have platforms that we can create for free, and now we're helping other people, right?
Yeah.
And that's what I think is important for men these days, is giving a platform to other men and understanding that you're not alone, and understanding that there's other men like you who are going through similar things that you're going through, right? And with that, we can find a solution together. Like I said earlier, you can't do this alone. The cheat code to life is living life with others. Once you feel like you're alone, that's when death starts to creep in. That's when doubts start to creep in. And that this doesn't just go for men. This goes for women as well. As a human, in the human experience, you are not supposed to be a human alone. That's why there's a such thing as relations and relationships, and the mother and father dynamic, and the son and daughter dynamic. We're meant to be connected, right? And once you feel like you've lost that connection through whatever situation, through whatever tragedies you've been through, the things we talk about in every episode that we're on together, we have to reinforce that, you cannot do this alone. You need other assistance, right? So like you said, creating these platforms like how you've immensely grown, and I've been watching you on YouTube blowing up. A little bit of what I'm doing, like, we're doing the right thing. We're connecting people. I would have never talked to the people you connected me with without you, right? And that's the beauty in it. So we have to continue doing what we're doing. And for those who are watching, don't be afraid to start your own platform, right? Because me and Camille, I call her C, but me and Camille, we started this platform not knowing if it's going to work, right? But we knew we were leading with love. We knew we were leading with God, first of all. And we knew we were leading from a good place, and that the world needed this. And now look at us, right? So don't be afraid to do what you feel like you can bring to the world, your value, and bring value to others, because you never know who needs it.
That's true. What's the saying? Work until God tells you no.
That's it.
And you don't know what doors that will open, that thing, what it will turn into, until it happens. And people are like, oh, well, the door closed. I have so many closed doors. And it's like, but did you bother to knock or even try to open the knob?
Right.
And a lot of doors that you may realize are more open to you than you even anticipated, but you have to try. And I've said before that, God can speak and things can just manifest off his word. That's how he created everything.
Yep.
But you have to give him something to work with.
Yep.
Never lie. Yeah, and that's very important, which ties into being accountable. And as far as a man going through life and realize, because you said something before, like we all make mistakes, but even from the male perspective, can you kind of unpack just the accountability? Because we see the narratives of there's a lot of finger pointing going on, but what about just being accountable and just saying, hey, I messed up?
Mm-hmm. And it's funny. I literally, on my last video, I talk about accountability. You cannot grow with God speaks. When he speaks, he speaks. You cannot grow without accountability. Simple as that. You cannot grow without realizing your faults, your blocks, your mess ups. Because the more you try to defend yourself, or to try to defend your wrongs, or try to defend your sins, you will stay in that same exact position. And if you don't stay in that same exact position, you're going to decrease. You're going to get in a worse position. You have to be accountable. Accountability is what increases you. It's what raises your ceiling. It's what makes you better. It's what, literally what I said earlier, it creates room for growth. Without accountability, you cannot grow. It's as simple as that. You might as well put a cap on your head, because if you don't say, I was wrong for doing this, you're going to be thinking the same.
Right.
Growth involves change. You have to have a change in your mindset. It's simple as that. And the thing with accountability with me, I'm a Leo, for those who don't know.
I'm an asparagus. I don't really know about that. I'm an asparagus. I don't know.
So the thing with a lot of Leos is that we're hard-headed. We're stubborn.
Wait, when's your birthday?
August.
Okay. See, I don't know I just say I'm an asparagus and just, I don't know.
Yeah. It's not you need to really research.
Okay.
I just like the animal I am. I'm a lion, right? So the thing about us, we're stubborn, right? So it's like what I say goes. I had to learn that is not the way life works, right? And because of that lifestyle, that mindset that I had, I did not want to be accountable. I wanted to argue. I wanted to get the last word. I wanted to be the louder person. I wanted to be right. At this big old age that I am right now, I've learned.
This big grown age.
This big old grown age that I am right now, I've learned that I am wrong a lot of times. And that's okay, because that is part of growth. You have to learn that you're wrong in order to become right.
Right.
You got to learn that the fire is hot so that you don't touch the fire again.
But there's also has to be conversation. Like, my thing is, as far as there can be reconciliation,
right?
But both parties have to be willing to have the conversation, meaning listen, acknowledge, not finger pointing, but saying, this is how I felt. This is what my experience was with you. And having that, the goal is to have that reciprocated.
True.
But there are times and situations where you have to realize everyone is not on your same, everyone doesn't have the same EQ, emotional intelligence. They don't have the same emotional capacity. And at some point you have to realize and accept there's some people that can't, some people that won't. And you have to be okay with that. And to always expect an apology, it's like saying, I cannot heal without the permission from you. Right. And you should never have to ask permission from someone to heal. And if they cannot provide the closure, you have to find a way to give that peace to yourself and to release them, not to throw the person away, but love from afar and just say, okay, this is outside of my means or outside of my control. Because if you don't, it will fester, it will become bitterness, then you'll harbor unforgiveness. And so now spiritually, your position with God can change if you're harboring unforgiveness and bitterness, because those things can hinder your blessings.
Right. I agree. But I'm going to also take it a step further. If you exclude everyone, if you exclude your partner, if you exclude and just include yourself, that is where it should start. You got to start with self. Like you said, you got to be accountable. Once you're accountable, then that starts to bring on other disciplines within yourself.
Doing the work. Because if you don't do the work, how are you going to work on somebody else? Right. How are you going to work with another partner? You got to do the work on yourself first. Like I always say, you got to create your own garden. And now if you have a partner, they'll be able to enjoy your garden. But if you have a partner and you have nothing in your home base, then what is there? Right? So always make sure that I'm right first, right? I always make sure that I do whatever it takes to make myself ready for any opportunities of a possible love or a possible good woman. Because the thing is, one of the worst things that you can experience as a man is not being ready for a good woman. Let's unpack that a little bit.
I've been in that situation, right? Where I was immature. I was in college. I was immature. I was just out here trying to have fun. And I did come across a very good woman who had her head on straight, who had things going for herself, who knew what she wanted. I was not there mentally. Okay. And I lost her.
You fumbled the bag.
I fumbled the bag.
Oh, bro.
But I'm mature enough to admit that.
Yes.
Back then, I was like, oh, it's her loss. I'm the prize. You know what I mean?
But now we're a little older, a little wiser, being accountable.
I knew I fumbled the bag because she was a good woman. She knew what she wanted. She was raised right. She was disciplined. She had all the things I should have had back then that I have now. but back then I didn't. Right. So it's now when I tell my youngins, right, I tell them, like, make sure you are prepared for your blessings.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you are not prepared for your blessings, you are going to waste them. And I never want to. One thing that is in my daily prayer is that I don't disappoint God. I always ask God, please make me worthy of your blessings.
Oh, that's good. I'm gonna have to
Make
take
me
that
worthy.
one
Do it.
and add
Do
that
it.
to my prayers every
Make
day. I
it.
like that.
Make me worthy of your blessings. Because people ask and they ask and they ask, but they don't be worthy of what they ask for.
You don't prepare for what you ask
You're not
for.
prepared. And then when you get it, you don't know what the heck to do with it.
You fumble the bag.
Now you got this bag of money, $1 million, and you blow it.
That's like winning the lottery and you're broke in a year.
You blow it because you're ignorant, you're immature, you're not ready for your blessing. And I pray every day. I ask God, prepare me for your blessing, so that when I get it, I can honor you.
I like that.
Make you feel like happy that you gave it to me, because if I waste it, you can give it to somebody else.
Yeah,
I don't
like
want to be
that.
left. You feel me?
Yeah.
So that's the thing. You want to be worthy of that woman or that man that comes your way. Or
and
that
not just a person, but just the blessings God has for you. Like
blessings in general.
In general,
yo.
And
we
I
have
think,
to like simplify things.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that's why I've been working hard now. Because I want to be an asset, not a liability.
Exactly. And a lot of us have been liabilities, whether we want to admit it or not.
Yeah.
I never want to be a liability. I never wanted somebody to think of me and be like, dang, man, dude tore my life up. You know, oh, then Sealz, he messed me. Like, I never want that thought. I want to be able to have some kind of impact in your life where you can say, like, you know what, Sealz, that's a good dude right there.
Yeah.
Camille, she changed my life.
Oh, yeah.
No matter how small or big it is, I want to be that. And that's what I push for every day.
Yeah. What's that saying? What is the saying? It goes, you have to be honest and realize that you were not the hero in everybody's story. Yep. In someone's chapter, you were the villain.
Yep. Or or you was the civilian walking down the sidewalk, but you said something nice and you made their day good.
Yeah. But either way, you have to know your role in the chapter. It goes back to accountability. In some chapters, you were the villain. You weren't the hero.
And I was the villain. I know I was.
Me too.
I know I was.
I shenanigans again.
Hey, what's that called? Accountability, yo.
Yeah. And I think, like, for me, because I've been single for 4 years now. And in this time, there's been a lot of reflection and just kind of like, okay, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
Like, let's step back from all of this.
Right.
And just having some honest conversation. I'm going to be transparent. So I dream a lot. And so I took a nap today because I just needed to recharge. And I had a dream that I was going somewhere. I won't say where I was going, but I was going somewhere. And I've been wanting to get to this place for a really long time.
Okay.
And because I felt like in the dream, gosh, it's taking so long. Let me speed this process up. So I grabbed the keys to the car and I'm like, well, I'm going to get myself there. And I disregarded the speed limits. I was darting in and out of traffic. I mean, I was getting it. I was driving so fast. And I got to literally 30 seconds from my destination. And there was a car in front of me that jumped over into another lane. And there was a hill. But as I was going over the hill, there was a red light and didn't realize everyone was sitting at their light.
Yeah.
But because I was going so fast, I could not stop. And the vehicle behind me crashed into me.
Wow.
I, wrecked in front of the car in front of me. But the thing was, I woke up before the actual impact happened. But in the dream, in my subconscious, I knew this was a fatal accident and I was killed in the accident. And I was literally right around the corner from my destination, and I died because I was in such a rush to get there. I didn't take the time to slow down and let God get me there at his pace.
You're right.
I was going to get there, but I was in such a hurry to get there. Not only did I put my life at stake, but I also became a detriment to people around me because I would not wait on God. And I think about how many, and that was just in a dream. So how many times have we been in detriment to others because we were in such a hurry to be married or to get so many followers or to have an amazing quarter or to be promoted on a job, whatever your goal has been. Who did you drag along the way to get there? Who did you hurt along? Like, because we're in such a rush, such a hurry, because, oh, it's taking so long, the time, and God was like, I was going to get, you were literally right around the corner. Like you were right there. And now you can't even enjoy the destination.
Yep.
Because you were reckless.
Yep.
And impatient.
Yep.
And not walking in faith and trust in God.
Yep. And that might have been a message straight from him to you.
Oh, I know it was.
Yeah, I'm thinking about that. That's pretty profound. That's pretty deep because I believe in if there's a place that is absent of God, is death. Right. So if you're not doing exactly what you're supposed to be doing, you're in a place that you shouldn't be. If you're not doing exactly what you're doing, you're going the opposite way of where you should be going. Right. And that dream is pretty relative to some lifestyle choices that I made in my life, where it felt like
wait on God.
Yeah,
wait.
Because I mean, I can't speak for you, but I've known me personally that I've done things where I felt like I'd done it because I felt like it was right, because I felt like this is something that I should do, right? And somehow all those things always failed, or they put me in the worst position, or a position that I had to crawl out of, or a hole that I had to climb out of.
Yeah,
like you said,
it's like character building, right? Because even in the dream, because I was going so fast, I didn't see there was danger ahead. If I had been going at the pace I should have been going, I would have seen it. And I would have had time to adjust my speed and would have gotten to the destination safely. And sometimes we're in such a hurry, there are blind spots. And you don't know there's a pothole right here. Or you don't know this friend is not really your friend. Or that person's not really your person. Or that job is not really the job you should take. Or you know what? That contract looks good. The money is great. But all money ain't good money. So I'm gonna let that contract go. So sometimes we can't be in such a hurry to get to the place we desire, not realizing there's some things along the way that it's not like God is withholding it from us, but he's actually protecting us from some things we can't see. And he's actually clearing the way so we can have safe travel to the destination.
Yep. And there's a funny thing about speed, right? So the faster you go, your peripherals start to blur out, right? So the faster you go to a certain point, you start to miss out on a lot of things. And now you have tunnel vision on the destination, on a goal. But if that speed is against what you should be doing, you're going to miss out on all the things, important things, all the warnings, all the bads, the red flags, the bad signs, for example, right? I always tell people not to rush into relationships. Just because your mom told you you need to have a husband by this time, or just because your dad told you need to have a so-and-so by it, do not worry about that. You need to do according to the time that is planned for you, because you're going to end up in a relationship. I always say, be careful what you wish for, because you're going to get it, right? You're going to end up in a relationship, the relationship that you wanted. Now you're in an abusive relationship. Now you're in a relationship with a man or a woman who don't give 2 cents about you. Now you're in a relationship with someone who is using you for what you have. Even though those things are present, you are still in a relationship. You got exactly what you wanted. That's why you have to be intentional in what you pray for and what you ask for. You have to work toward those things. Like you said earlier, you got to realize that to mind your speed towards your destination, because you will miss out on a lot of warnings, red flags, things that you miss over when you speed towards getting a relationship, when you speed towards trying to get fast money or a lot of money. You're going to miss out on those warnings because you're going so fast.
Yeah, that's so good. We definitely got to do, I guess this is part 5. I forget,
part 10,000.
Part 10,000.
Over the years.
Conversations are so good, and I hate, like, because I know our schedules are different, but I'm like, there's no way I can end 24 and not have my bro come on. So
I appreciate you.
Absolutely appreciate it. Before we wrap up the show, are there any like takeaways or nuggets or gems that you would like to leave with the viewers and listeners until you come back? Because you are going to come back. And then where people can reach you on social media.
Sure. Always Sealz The Man on everything. I promised C that I was going to get more active on Instagram. So I'm an introvert, so it's kind of hard for me to be active on Instagram because I'm working on it. But when I get my new channel,
in the business that pay you because YouTube is doing what it needs to do.
Yeah, YouTube is treating me right. So
and IG ain't cutting no checks right now. So
yeah, IG is slipping. Y'all need to step it up. Instagram, let's go. Make sure you pay Camille too. One takeaway that I want to spread to everyone and make it contagious and make sure everyone remember this. Make it an affirmation. Speak it to yourself in your mirror every day. I said this early in the video. I said this multiple times. Control what you can control and leave everything else up to God. We can only do so much, even though there's people out there who are doing a lot of things, many things, amazing things, a plethora of things, right? Even them cannot do everything. We can't, right? So worry about what you can control. Make it intentional every single day. What I do is if I have a plan or a goal, I break it down into months. Then I break that months down into weeks. And I break that weeks down into days. And I have a big old calendar. Every single day I have something working towards that, right? And another thing is rest and recovery is just as important as working. Rest and recovery is also working. You cannot do nothing unless your body recovers. You cannot do nothing unless your mind and your spirit recovers, right? Especially for those who take on a lot of things. Make sure you rest and recover. But once you're done with that, get back to work. There is nothing out here for y'all. There is nothing out here but trouble. So you ain't missing out on nada. And the older I get, I realize there ain't nothing out here. You need to work on yourself. Prepare for your blessings, like we talked about. Get ready. Because when you have all the things that you're working for, when you've reached your goals and your missions and your accomplishments, you can do whatever God has blessed you with freely. You won't be on anybody else's time, right? So work for what you were destined to be. Work for what you were destined to do. And that's why I'm so proud of you, Camille, because you're doing exactly what you're destined to do. You stay busy. You stay locked in. You stay producing. You stay publishing videos and content. You're one of the most consistent people I know. And I love that. And I want to be more like that. So I'm proud of you. Never change up. Never feel like someone's not watching you and watching what you do. Even the ones who don't speak about what you do, they watch you and they're inspired by it, right? I live for those people, the ones who don't want to speak up, because those are the ones who are most affected. So I'm proud of you. Keep working. For all those out there, if you feel like there's something on your mind and on your spirit to do, that may be a message. That may be a SOS straight from God, right? You need to do this or else, right? So be intentional with your life, because life is not guaranteed. It's unpredictable. You don't know the time nor the day, as my grandma says. We are living in revelations, right? So make sure you make every day worth it. And that's not only my message to y'all, but my message to myself every single day. So I'm not speaking it from some like random place. I speak this to myself every day. So yeah, that would be my takeaway and my message to y'all.
Wow, I love it. That's dope. And thank you so much. I appreciate it. I just feel that we have so many gifts and gems. And one thing I've learned about podcasting, I didn't realize I could do this, right? And as every season has gone by, the skill is sharpening. You
Right.
know, the graphics are getting better, the production's getting better.
Right.
But it's like, how do you know unless you get out there and try it? It didn't start like this. I was like, did I just put this episode out here? You know,
Right.
but then having people like you that I've encountered that have offline poured into me with encouragement, which has meant so much. Because I too am an introvert. Do you think I wanted to be out here in front of these people? But in that, not realizing how God can use the unconventional thing to heal you, to sharpen you, to show up and be a voice for other people. Excuse me, because we do need spaces for our brothers to talk and to share and to open up, and then to have you show up the way you do. You don't know, Sealz, who life, particularly for our brothers, may be saved hearing that, you know, dealing with stress and depression and the pressure of life. So I think it's very important that we continue to build these spaces and these platforms. And even what you do, I want to applaud you on that, because being a positive Black man out here, giving information, healthy information, wise information, godly information, that's important. And we need voices as yours here. So thank you for showing up, even when it's hard and when you didn't want to do it. I personally want to say thank you for your presence. We appreciate that.
Appreciate you, man. That's humbling.
For sure. So I think this has been a great conversation. I definitely want to continue to bring you back as we have these conversations, because I feel like it's very important. So with that being said, and then sit tight. Everybody, this is Camille Essick, host of the Speaker Podcast, the podcast where innovators and critics connect. Be sure to follow me online at CamilleEssick.com. All the merch is there. The ebooks and the e-course are available. Heart and Soul 2024 is coming back the 31st of this month, exclusively on YouTube. Be sure to follow me on Instagram, TikTok, and the Facebook page at the Speaker Podcast. With that being said, everybody, be safe. Also, keep the people in East Tennessee, my home state, Tennessee, and Carolina in prayers as they continue to recover from Hurricane Helene, as well as Georgia and the Carolinas. And condolences to all those that have lost loved ones over the past week as a result. With that being said, be safe, be blessed. Good night. And I'll see y'all next week, next Thursday. The Bellingers will return. Good night, y'all. Bye-bye.
Peace out.
Right.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Speak Her Podcast. Be sure to follow Camille on Instagram at Camille.Essick, Facebook at the Speak Her Podcast, or www.CamilleEssick.com.